This isn't new news. It's kind of old news. It was because I think it was last October. But this 4-year-old is getting sued. I don't know why I'm talking about it now. I'm not even sure what made me think of it. But in New York City, this 4-year-old was riding, I don't know, a little bike, tricycle, something, plows into this 87-year-old woman who falls, breaks her hip, and then at some point after that, as a result, she dies, which is terrible, I think. And I guess the family is suing the 4-year-old. Really? If anyone's at fault, it's the mother's fault for letting her kid just ride the bike, willy-nilly on the street. I don't get charging or suing a 4-year-old. Now, it begs the question, who is the jury of the kid's peers? Because that's who you're supposed to be tried by, right? And if you're being sued, is there a jury? In some cases there are, right? So you have a jury of your peers. Are they other 4-year-olds? Do they break for nap time? Do they get milk and cookies after the verdict? I know it's a complete silly video to make. I know, because it's not new news, it's old news. But I figure if the news can cover non-news issues, then I can cover old news. I don't even know what happened to the story. I don't know if they dropped the case or something. How it ever got to the point where the kid was actually being sued is beyond me, because I think any judge in his or her right mind would not even hear it. Would be like, seriously, 4-year-old? Seriously? No. Non-related, completely different subject. I used to work at a university that for the first, I don't know how many years I worked there, it was an all-women's university. Only men could be in upper grad. And so there were a few guys there. And some guy sued the university to be let in as an undergraduate. And of course, he won, and the university became co-ed, even though in the town that I worked in, maybe 3 or 4 miles away was a co-ed university with mostly the same degrees. So it's not like this guy was out in, BFE, and this was the only place he could go. There was a place really kind of across the street. But he wanted to make a name for himself, I guess, and sue the university, and he won. And then he didn't go to the school. He decided not to. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is it was and it's still, even after it changed over to co-ed, it was still probably, I don't know, between 90 and 95% women. And some of the people there really took the whole women thing a little to heart. You couldn't say, I worked I was the graphic designer for Student Life, but I worked in the student activities office, and I often helped out with activities on campus. And that meant working some of the events, like if we had a carnival, working beverage booth or something, And you wouldn't say, you've got to man the station, because that's man, right? You had to say you were staffing the station, because saying man was not appropriate at a mostly women's university. The other thing that really drove me nuts about the whole, mostly women thing was whenever we had to talk about something that, let's say just a second ago when I said the judge, he or she should do that, it had to be she or he. You had to put the woman first. Even though, in most cases in grammar, it's just the way it is. I think we're used to that. It's probably not wrong to say she or he. It's just awkward because for years we've done it. He or she said that, or him and her, whatever. I guess saying that a minute ago just kind of made me think of that. Really. And then some of the students, this absolutely drove me batty, would spell women with a Y. WOMYN, because they didn't want to have men in the name at all. And that was, I hate to say pet peeve, because it wasn't. It was a ginormous pain in my ass to deal with that. And as the graphic designer, I would edit copy and stuff, and I would just take that Y and turn it right back into an E. It just bugged me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not. You can do your little taking the men out of it, but seriously, you can't take the men out of the world. I mean, come on, it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry if you do that. I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. I just don't. My little rant. Oh, it's Rant Wednesday. How appropriate. Very nice. I don't know what else I have to rant about pertaining to my job at the university. I loved most of it. My first boss there was a lunatic, and she deserves her own special week of stories, I think, sometime, because she was bonkers. Yeah. I guess everybody, have you had a bonkers boss before? It's just Looney Tunes, and it's troubling that you have to work with somebody who's completely insane and somehow not get insane as well, or become insane. I guess that's all I'm gonna say now. Maybe I'll have a week of old work stories at some point.